make sure you grab your favorite tea, grab a seat, and let's get the conversation started. If you just kind of came across this channel by accident, hi, welcome. I'm Mayaka Anderson, herbal alchemist, where we talk about herbs, but we also talk about inner alchemy so that we can live a more balanced and harmonious life. And you have turned into a great show today because we are talking about trigger words. And I know you have been triggered somewhere down the line in your life, but I want to talk about why they matter more than you think. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So, welcome again, everyone. Today, I really want to get real with you about something we all have dealt with and we'll probably continue to deal with, but most of us don't even think about, and it's trigger words. Now, before you go all in, like we're going to get all like lay on the couch and tell problems kind of stuff, it's not the psychology talk you gotta, worry about, right? I just need you to hear me out about these trigger words. So we're gonna talk about how to deal with trigger words and why they matter more than people think. This isn't about being overly sensitive. So let's get that out of the way. Some people say, oh, you're just too sensitive. That's not what this is about. It's about understanding the power that words hold, what they can actually do to us, and how we can use them instead of hurting each other, uplifting each other, and uplifting ourselves instead of out here tearing each other down, which you see out here on Facebook, on Instagram, anywhere someone can tear someone down with their words, they're going to use it because they're so readily available. So let's start by this. Have you ever heard a word or a phrase that just hit you, right? It hit you so hard, like it was a slap in the face, like you felt heat rising. I've been there where heat starts to rise. You didn't even know your body could get that hot, but heat starts to rise, right? And you didn't even see it coming. Like you didn't know that what they were about to say was about to trigger you. And let me tell you, triggering someone isn't about getting them angry, isn't it about getting them sad or upset? Trigger words makes you see red, right? And sometimes you will just go after the person without even knowing that you're doing it. Those trigger words get you just like that. And we have a lot of people sitting in prison, sitting in juvenile hall, right? Because of these trigger words, and because we have so much buried underneath, so much trauma that we thought we were over, that a word can just snap and you're just into a whole nother person. So when we talk about this and you think about, hearing that word or phrase, it could have been a joke. It could have even been someone trying to give you constructive criticism, right? I don't even know why we say constructive, because all criticism, 9 times out of 10, people don't know how to accept it. They may look good on the inside and they're clenching. I mean, they may look good on the outside, but they're clenching on the inside. When you give constructive criticism, it's just something, I don't know, that we all do. We feel like we got to play the defense, right? Even when they're just trying to help us out, something that we have to work through as human beings, just as people. So you're moving my thing. Trigger words, these words not only hit hard, but they really call or summons up emotions. All right. Not because you're sensitive, but because it's tied to something deeper. You have not gone in and did all your shadow work. There is something there that is tied to these words, and we have to figure out what's going on and what's actually living inside of you, right? So these are what we call trigger words. They're words that bring up a whole wave of emotions. They can bring up memories, and it's usually tied to a trauma. Something has happened that word is tied to a situation or a memory or something that has taken place that did not make you feel good. Probably tried to tear down your character. But we need to find out what it means personally to you. And for some people, really, these words have lots of layers. It's not just one thing. Sometimes it's layered underneath, underneath. You got to keep going back to find the root of the issue. So think about it. Have you ever met someone, or it could have been you are a hard worker and all of a sudden someone calls you lazy or they're talking about lazy people. They might not even be talking about you. They just might be talking about lazy people, but the way that they describe these people might brush up against your shoulders. Gets hitting too close to home, and all of a sudden you got heat coming up. Like you feel like they're actually attacking you, right? Here's another one. Now, this one gets me, even my husband, because sometimes he does this to me, and I do not like this phrase. Now, this is a phrase and not a word. Um, angry black woman. Oh, my sisters, we get called this all the time. Now, this is not just words. It brings up a history. Listen, y'all, a history of being misunderstood, labeled, and stereotyped. Black women, for instance, often have the extra layer or the extra weight that we carry around all the time. We're always working hard. We show up when we need to, even when we don't need to show up, we there. And when we express our truth, or we just get a little tired or a little frustrated, or we just need to vent a little bit, all of a sudden we get hit with this label angry. Like we are not able to express the human side of ourselves without being labeled angry. But y'all, let's be real. It's not anger. It's the feeling of being overlooked. It's the feeling of being ignored. It's the feeling of being dismissed. All right. And when people get that, it just adds another layer of frustration. So when words like this, black angry woman is thrown away, thrown around, I'm sorry, thrown around is not just a word. It's the feeling of not being seen or validated for who you really are. I hope this description really helps bring home how trigger words work. You say that, and a black woman, I don't know what might happen, right? But we do not like it. We don't like it. Okay. So here's a question for you. Have you ever been hit with a label that didn't fit who you were? Something that just didn't capture your essence? If so, type down below what that label was and type how it made you feel. Type if it made you angry, or type if it's an actually trigger word where you might put your hands on somebody, okay? Because we have to figure out what's going on. Is it just the emotion, or is it more that you may harm someone over a word and you didn't even know? And you might have a history of this. Like I said, we all have buried things underneath us, and until we deal with self, we don't even know they're sitting in there. Now, here's what's tricky, y'all. Here's what's tricky. Sometimes society uses words almost like weapons. Now, let's be honest. Society nowadays, all words are weapons, right? all words have been made weapons, which is really sad. And most of us don't even realize it. But words can become tools for bullying, for dismissing people, and for controlling how others see themselves. And so we have to be careful about how we throw and how we use our words. Think of words like weird, dramatic, lazy. These words aren't just labels, they're like little hooks that, people pull other people into these boxes. And we have to be careful because none of us can be in boxes. We are complex. God made us complex beings. Nobody can be in the same. You can't just fit somebody or a whole race of people or a whole ethnic group of people into a box and say, this is what you are. That is just ignorance at its best. And the thing is, even if people don't mean the harm when they use these words that they carry around, a lot of them, when they use them, they are not aware of the dangers of trigger words. They don't even know that the weight, that some of these words carry weight. I know when my trigger words, oh honey, let me tell you, I had this guy who liked me, and I had 3 jobs. I worked in the ER, 12-hour shifts. I was working not because I wanted to, but because I had to. I had a husband then, and he I don't even want to talk about that. What I got to say that I was out there doing what I needed to do, okay? And this person said, "Oh, you're," and he said it so like effortlessly, and I don't. Now today I can look at it. I don't think he meant any harm. He was like, "Oh, you're just a worker bee, honey." I felt heat from the tips of my toes to my head because this isn't a position I wanted to be put in. And to have be married to someone where I had to work so hard and then be out, but someone who liked me thinking this is so cool that there's a worker bee. What? You're a male. That's not that. I'm not here to work for you. Don't get excited about me working. I don't want to do. Boy, there were so many. I think I boiled over and I went off. Okay. Oh, it was bad. I think I turned into a whole nother person on that. But the worker bee, I didn't even know that the worker bee would have been a trigger word for me, but it was because I was dealing with so much internally, and he hit that button, and that was it. That was it, honey. I just couldn't do it anymore. So we got to be careful about these words we throw around. But in defense of him, he had no clue. I'm working. He had no clue. I don't know why. And we always expect people to know, right? Put two and two together. Do you think this woman really wants to be doing all this? Do you think she wants to be working this hard? Don't say those things, but it is what it is, honey. I just went off. That's all I got to say about that. Move it on, y'all. Move it on. So since we're talking about the worker bee, I want to talk about the warrior path because that was the path I was on. I was on a warrior path. Some things had happened. I went through some serious trauma with the church, with my husband, with some other things, and things were boiling over like a pot of tea. Boy, it was going. The water coming out the sides of the pot. I was a hot mess, and I didn't know how to help myself because too much had went on. God had gave me so much. It was like a buffet of problems that he served at one time. I said, now if you gave me one problem, maybe it would have been okay. But all these problems together, that it just wasn't working for me. And I just was becoming someone I didn't even know. So when we deal with the warrior path, it is an unspoken trauma. Like I knew my trauma, but what I didn't know is that I had trigger words. So understand this: people who go through life on the warrior path, these are the folks that have been through some things, honey. They've been through the war. I always tell people I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. All right. They have endured betrayal and struggle beyond the normal, beyond what we call the normal. They have been through some things and got a story, a testimony to share. And even maybe even the things that no one else around them knows about, they're dealing with inside, and they're struggling inside. And those trigger words just are like a when you hit the emergency button, the red button, and it just comes flowing out, right? These people who I once was, they had to armor up. They got to defend themselves. They're carrying these battles every day, and every day they're at war, and they don't know when it's going to end. And some of them it has ended, but they don't know. Have you ever met people with PTSD, especially in the military, where I know there's a certain word for it, where they just don't know the war has ended? They're still living in that war, in that battle, because they don't know it's ended. A lot of people in survival world who have lived in the survival world for so long, they don't know it's over. They don't know they can put the weapons down. They don't know there was a ceasefire. They don't know they can walk off the battlefield yet, right? And so, especially if you get hit with these words because you feel like you got thrown right back in the battle, right back in the fire. How do you deal with that? So, these people on the warrior path, they don't do this because they're trying to be dramatic. They're not doing this because they're overly emotional, right? They're doing it to survive. And some words just have the nerve to push that button and everything comes to the surface, honey. And it ain't pretty. All right? It's like the kraken coming up out the sea, girl. You gotta run. You better run. So, as we talk about this, can you think of a word or a phrase that when you hear it just brings everything back? The feelings and everything. Sometimes we can smell a smell and it'll take you back to a certain place or a situation. This happens with words also. Someone can say something and it will transport you back to a situation, to tie you to a certain person, and it will bring out certain emotions and certain feelings. That's what our five senses are about, right? We can see something, hear something, feel something, smell something, and all of a sudden we're right back at that place that we first experienced it, which is crazy. And as we talk about that, it brings in the metaphysical side, right? The frequency of words. So I'm going to get just a little deeper here. The frequency and the energy of words, because words aren't just what you say. It's not just a sound that is hitting my ear, but it's vibrations, right? I told you levels to this thing. It's vibrations, the waves ripping through the air that are hitting your ear, that then those waves are hitting you in certain places. I do T bars for Healing in Art and Sound in Peachtree City, right? And she does sound baths with the singing bowl. Sometimes you hit that bowl, and she hits the bowl, and you can feel emotion being awakened. Like boom, let me. I don't know if I have my little singing bowl here. If you don't know what it, I got a little tiny one, a little tiny singing bowl. But oh, hold on, honey. Hold on. Oh, hold on. There we go. Can't hold it. The vibrate. Look, my dog done perked up. The vibrations start to hit you in certain places. And that's how words are. They trigger, but those vibrations, right? High, low, whatever, they're going to hit you in a certain place in a certain way. And so you have to be mindful of that. I should have shut these windows. When we say something, we are actually sending out energy. Think about it. Positive words, words of kindness, encouragement are like gentle waves. You always feel good when somebody says something nice to you. You look pretty today. All of a sudden, you feel that, right? That it felt good when they said that, right? They move us, and they create a feeling of connection and a feeling of calmness, right? Someone say, "Oh, you look pretty today." Something about that just like, oh, I look pretty today. It gives you a little step, you get a little, pep to your step, right? Somebody tells you that. No matter if it's a man, woman, what a child, whatever, you feel good. It gives you some type of good energy vibration. Now, when we deal with negative words, they're like a storm. They just crash into us. It's like they come in and they hit a wall. And they can stir up anxiety, fear, anger, rage, even. It's literally energy affecting energy, because we are nothing but energy. And y'all, if we could get on this metaphysical level, boy, we could destroy a lot of hate and decisiveness and destruction between us as humans, right? It's energy versus energy. And it's the type of frequency and energy that you send out that you get the response back, right? So we have to make sure that we understand this even on a metaphysical level, right? On the micro plane. All right, guys. So let's talk about affirmations then, okay? This bra will not let me be great today, honey. Okay, so here's what's really cool. Affirmations. I love this. Ever wonder why people keep saying that affirmations work? Because they do, honey. They do. Like I said, we're going to think about this in the terms of energy and frequency. It's not just a fad. It's about how words shape your inner energy. So a lot of people will do affirmations all day long, or they get up in the morning and they have those little sticky notes full of affirmations. Why? Because they pour into you. They feed into you the high vibrational, the energy boosting you need. I gotta fix these glasses because every time I do a video, my glasses be all crooked. Y'all don't be telling me. Y'all don't say y'all just let me be out here crooked. I don't even know, because I can't even see if they're straight now. But like I said, it's not just a fad. When we say things like I am enough, I am strong, I am beautiful, I am wise. Look, y'all know where I'm going with this. We are actually sending out vibrations through ourselves. Those words are being poured into. I always tell people, even as I'm talking to you now, I'm really not talking to you. I'm talking to my future self, honey. I'm telling my future self what it needs to hear so that I can achieve the things I need to achieve in the future. And this is a good practice for any of you that are scared to talk in front of people, or you don't have the confidence. Imagine you talking to your future self. What does your future self need to hear to keep going, to keep pressing? That future self could be tomorrow. It could be next week. It could be months. Maybe you got goals for 5 years from now. Whatever it is, you need to speak to yourself. So when I do these, people may not even watch these videos, but honey, I go back and I watch them and I am talking to myself. And a lot of times I need to hear these things because as quick as we learn things is as quick as we forget things. So we train our minds, we train our spirits, and we even train our bodies to accept the good things that we are pouring in, to believe in the good things, the words that are being said, right? The more we say them, the more we can create a kind of inner armor so other things don't bother us. And that's why I love the metaphysics level, because when you understand how you see other people and how they see you, it does not bother your inside. Look, the Bible says love your neighbor. But honey, if you ain't did the inside work and you don't love yourself, you're going to give your neighbor hate. If you fear what's going in, you can't sit by yourself. You're scared to know what's going on inside you. Guess what? You ain't going to love your neighbor. You're going to fear your neighbor. If you are angry with yourself, if you're enraged with yourself for whatever you're trapped in the past in something that happened, guess what? You're not going to love your neighbor. You're going to want to kill your neighbor. Okay? So we have to deal with ourselves. And the more that we deal with ourselves, we create an inner armor and we start to build ourselves up from the inside out, and no one can touch us, right? Our bodies are touchable, but our minds are free. So you got to understand that. Now, how many of you out there actually say positive affirmations? How many of you have an affirmation journal where you just write good things about yourself down? And if you do this, how does it make you feel? Put it in the comments. How does it make you feel? Because your information is going to help someone else who stumbles across this channel in 5, 6, 10, 15 years, right? And when you started saying affirmations to yourself, did you feel a little weird? Did it feel a little strange? Look, ain't nobody around. Why are you feeling weird and strange about it? It's just you and you. But this is what I'm saying, getting in touch with self so you are comfortable with yourself, no matter what conversation you may be having with yourself and nobody else is around, right? And then, did you notice a change? Did you feel more confident? Did more opportunities come your way because of it? Write down what kind of changes you saw once you started doing your affirmations. So, I say all this to say be mindful of your words, not just with others, but also with yourself. We never know what other people are carrying. That's the problem. That's why people are sitting in jail. Somebody done said something to them, and they have no idea that was the last straw. They had no idea that this person was like dangling by a string, a old string, right? A shoestring, right? That it was already kind of chafed at, right? All it needed was one more thing, and it was gonna fall to oblivion. And people have said something to these people who were barely hanging on, who was losing all hope, and they lost their life. People play too much with words. They don't respect each other enough to understand that everybody is carrying something. And sometimes what they're carrying is just too much to deal with, even the simplest of things. Someone that is on a warrior path, barely holding it together, can have a single word change their whole life around. And that goes for the words we say to ourselves. We drop bombs on ourselves. And I don't understand people out here in these songs and videos of your friend A B. Do not call yourself that. Do not pour that low vibrational title into your life, right? I don't even like when men are talking to me and then they say bruh. Nah, there's no bra here. Yeah, I need you to address me as a female, and a powerful one at that. Don't, I'm not a bra, I'm not your homeboy, I'm not none of that. We have to understand how to use our words correctly, especially when you're talking to someone. That is not a trigger word for me, but it's a word that's, if a man was to talk to me like that, says they have no respect for the female energy, right? They have no respect for that. So that, I'm getting off my soapbox. Okay. So imagine if you were in the mirror every day and you kept telling yourself you're not enough. You're not smart enough. You're not pretty enough. You're a failure. You failed at this and you failed at that. Over time, what do you think that does? right? It's like tearing your own house down brick by brick. Understand this: when we talk about you are not enough, or you are not a, or you are a failure, your subconscious is listening to you, and that joke is going to go out there and bring back more proof of you being a failure, you being not pretty, you not being enough. That joker is going to go out. Why? Because it always wants you to be right, and it is great at telling you that you are right when you were wrong. It wants you to be right. It wants you to feel protected and comfortable. And if you are comfortable in your pity party, your subconscious is going to be there partying with you and fueling you with the negative thoughts that you need. All right. I hope I got that through to somebody. So, what words do you think we should try to use more with one another? What kind of questions should we ask one another? I know when I go out, I don't say, how are you doing today? I always say, how are you feeling? Because how are you feeling has a different connotation. And makes me, some people just stop like, oh, how am I feeling? Because if you ask how you doing, people, good, well, whatever. But if you ask them how you're feeling, now they may not answer you with I'm feeling this and that, or what. They still may say good, but what it does is it triggers something inside of them to connect to themselves. How am I feeling today? You know? And I always challenge people: when you're drinking tea, when you wake up in the morning, connect with yourself. How do I feel? Am I tired? Do I feel a little stressed? Make sure you choose the tea that's going to address the situation, right? Also, what words do you think that would make the world feel a little kinder? What words would you like to hear to make the world feel little kinder? Just drop it in the chat. Have you even thought about it? Do you use it with your friends and your family? Do you speak kindness to them? Even if they don't agree. Disagreeing is, there's nothing wrong with disagreeing, as long as you're respectful about it. Like I said, we are all on our different paths. So let me just wrap this up because I've been on here too long. Here's the thing. Bottom line, words are powerful, y'all. All right? Words are powerful. Powerful. They can either build bridges or they can heal. So you got to decide, right? They can also inspire or they can tear down. They can distance, they can bring together, or they can hurt. Right? So let's make the choices, because this is all about you. It's not about Sally, Sue, and John. It is about you that is watching this video. Make better choices. Use the words to build yourself up. Use words to build others up around you, and be mindful about the words that you use to the best of your ability. Because, like I said, the guy who used worker bee, that was no fault of his own. I was just having some issues at that time. But, sometimes it's just like you're not going to be able to protect the next person. But be mindful of the things you say, how you talk about other people, because you never know how you're talking about someone else in front of someone is relating to their life, right? So we have to be very careful with that, because we can't always see what people are carrying, but we do know that there are people out here carrying some heavy, heavy weight, especially in 2024. Because at the end of the day, listen, kindness isn't just about what we do. It's about what we say and how we say it, and our intentions around saying that thing, okay? So I want you to go ahead and leave me some comments with a word that makes you feel good, something that lifts you up. And let's keep having these type of conversations where we go deep. Inner alchemy, that's what Rooted Vines is about. You grab your tea, it's for your mind, your spirit, and your body, but we got to do the inner work. Right? Because I don't care how much you eat well. I don't care what church you go to, right? If you are not dealing with yourself, something is broken. We all have to deal with ourselves. And we all deserve to feel a little lighter in this world, especially today. So, you guys, thank you for joining Rooted Vines today. I hope that you got something out of this. I got to do some more video on herbs, because I've been doing a lot of videos on inner alchemy, but some things have been downloading to me. So, that's where it's at. But as always, I pray whatever you are seeking and you're desiring in this life is seeking and desiring you. Until next time, family. Bye.